I just finished making 100 TikToks on the 100 Pokemon originally introduced in the Johto region, and now that that's over with, I thought I'd put them all here in one nice compilation for you. So sit back, relax, get ready for the aspect ratio to flip, because they're TikToks, and hey, go follow my TikTok afterwards, because Generation 3 starts tomorrow. Pokemon number 152, and the start of Generation 2. Chikorita. Chikorita has got to be one of the most unfortunate Pokemon of all time. It's a tanky grass type, but the first two gyms it's weak to, it's neutral in the third gym, and then it's back to being weak to the fourth gym with that extra poison typing. Man, that just sucks for Chikorita. And it really sucks because I love Chikorita's design. It looks great. This adorable bean with a little leaf on its head. Fantastic. Also, fantastic personality in the anime as well. So yeah, that's Chikorita. A Pokemon that has just been screwed over since day one just because of the design of the region it's from itself. Pokemon number 153. Bayleef. Bayleef holds a special place in my heart because it was the first Pokemon card I wanted to trade for. Back when I just got into Pokemon through the cards, my friend showed me their collection, and they had this Bayleef card, and it just stood out to me. And I was just immediately, for some reason, like, I want that card. And after some negotiations, I don't remember exactly what happened or what I had to give up for it, but I was eventually able to get it. And I still have it to this day. Oh, I'm running out of time. Bayleef looks great. I love its design. It's a nice, non-awkward middle stage. Too bad the whole Chikorita line just isn't good in Johto. So yeah, that's Bayleef. Super nostalgic for me, since it was there right at the start of my Pokemon journey. Pokemon number 154. Meganium. I do not remember what my reaction was to find out that my precious Bayleef evolves. But I do know what I think about Meganium nowadays, since it's nowadays. I do really like Meganium. It has such a nice design to it. I love how its flower looks. Give it all the buzzwords. It looks majestic. It looks aesthetically pleasing. A third thing that I say about some Pokemon. Too bad it isn't very good. Here's hoping it gets a Legends form one of these days, and it's actually decent. So yeah, that's Meganium. A Pokemon that unfortunately only has looks going for it. Why'd you have to do it to him, Game Freak? Pokemon number 155. Cyndaquil. Is Cyndaquil my favorite starter? That's a rhetorical question, you don't need to answer. I'm asking myself, because here's the thing, because of just how starters are handled in general, I like a lot of starters. So I think I really just need to put my foot down and say, yes, Cyndaquil is my favorite starter. Cyndaquil is so cute. I love how it looks, the really cool fire coming out of his back as well, and I just love the fire type in general. Its cry and personality in general in the anime, super adorable, love it. Though I will say Cyndaquil gets the short end of the stick, whereas its other two starter counterparts get an elemental move at like level 9 or whatever, but Cyndaquil gets Smokescreen. So yeah, that's Cyndaquil, my favorite starter. Setting it in stone, locking it up, it's my favorite. Well, unless. Pokemon number 156. Quilava. Is Quilava an awkward middle stage? I'd argue no, but I'm biased since Cyndaquil's my favorite starter. Quilava is kind of a long boy, with fire coming out of 2 spots on his back. And Flame Wheel. I associate that move with the Cyndaquil line, and Quilava definitely fits the part to be a Flame Wheel-er. So yeah, that's Quilava. I guess it's kind of up in the air if he is or isn't an awkward middle stage, just depending on your biases, and you know my bias, Cyndaquil for life. Pokemon number 157. Typhlosion. I love Typhlosion so much. He looks so cool. He can look both intimidating and friendly. He has this whole volcano aesthetic with the move Eruption. Really cool. And there's also Flame Wheel, so I guess he has 2 very distinct moves that you think of when you think of Typhlosion. And I'm very happy that Game Freak has recently finally got their act together and has decided that Typhlosion needs to have his fire on all the time when in battle, but it's fine if he doesn't have it on when not in battle. So yeah, that's Typhlosion. He is so cool, and easily cements Cyndaquil as my favorite starter. Pokemon number 158. Totodile. I love Totodile, man. He is super cute. Once again, his personality and cry in the anime are just top tier. And an extra special shout out to his overworld sprite in Heart Gold Soul Silver. Super cute. Just that whole joke in the anime where he just keeps biting everybody. I don't know, I always find it funny. You know, he's just a fun little guy that wants to be friends, so he'll bite you. Oof. So yeah, that's Totodile. Mr. Bite You Out of Love and Respect. Pokemon number 159. Croconaw. Croconaw is definitely my least favorite out of the just 9 Johto starters. But I still really like him. You know, he's still top tier. He's great. Just, my least favorite. I don't know, man. I think it's just the caveman aesthetic just, doesn't really do it for me. Like, is Croconaw an awkward middle stage? I personally think he's teetering on the edge. He's, like, real close to that awkward middle stage. But, what do you think? So, yeah, that's Croconaw. Taking Head Empty a little too literally, and becoming a literal caveman. Pokemon number 160. Feraligatr. Feraligatr looks super cool and tough and ferocious and scary and more words. I do really like him. He's great. Of course, he's a physical attacking water type, so pre-physical special split, not the best, but he's still usable, I'd say. Only got that classic joke about his Generation 3 sprite. If you know, you know. And there's the whole trivia fact that the reason there's no E at the end of Feraligatr is because they just ran out of space to write his name, so they had to cut a letter. As in, yes, he would have an E in his name if he was made in modern times on modern hardware in a modern game. So yeah, it's Feraligatr. Super cool, super ferocious, and even has a few fun trivia facts. Pokemon number 161. Sentret. Sentret is a very cute Pokemon, but it also has a very odd design. You know, just the circularness of it just looks kind of odd to me. And then it does its whole thing where it stands on its tail, and it looks extra odd, once again, from just the circularness. So, yeah, that's Sentret. It's a circle. I don't really got anything more to say. It's your typical early game normal type. Pokemon number 162. Furret. Look at that man's go on that elevator. You know, for the longest time, I got Furret mixed up with the Gen 3 early game normal type, Linoon. Because, you know, they're both long boys, early game normal type, 2-stage. But then Furret got the escalator meme, and Linoon got a regional form, regional evolution, so yeah, I finally am able to tell them apart. But yeah, no, Furret is adorable. I love it. Too bad it isn't too strong, since, you know, it's the early game normal type. So yeah, that's Furret. I mean, I do say it's weak, but like, it's gotta have calves of steel if it's able to keep going up that escalator. Pokemon number 163. Hoot Hoot. Hoot Hoot was very perplexing to me as a young lad. And that was thanks to just his actual design, because his whole thing of standing on one leg, but he actually has 2 legs, or he has both of his legs next to each other, so it looks like he's standing on one leg, but he has 2 legs, super perplexing to me as a child. I had no clue what was going on, or if he had 1 or 2 legs or not. As for his design itself, he's fine, you know, probably on the lower end in my liking of early game flying types. And once again, he's very round, so that's now 2 early game mons for Gen 2 that are very round. So yeah, that's Hoot Hoot. Very mysterious for childhood me, but nowadays he's just fine. Pokemon number 164. Noctowl. Noctowl is fine. Like I said with Hoot Hoot, probably on my lower end for the early game Birdmon, but I do gotta give Noctowl credit, because, you know, Ash caught a shiny one in the anime, and that was pretty cool. So, you know, if it wasn't the Red Gyarados, it was the Noctowl, introducing everyone to shiny Pokemon. But yeah, like I said, Noctowl's meh, you know? Maybe if he had the Psychic typing, he would've been a bit better. Because, like, he's a special attacker, so even after the physical special split, that normal type does nothing for him. So, yeah, that's Noctowl. What would otherwise be a meh mon, heavily elevated thanks to his very prominent role in the anime. Pokemon number 165, Ladybug. Yet another early game Gen 2 round boy. What is going on in Johto? Now here's the thing, I don't like ladybugs, in general, at all. Not a fan of them, at all. So, yeah. And it certainly doesn't help that Ladybug is not very strong. It's the early game bug type. Even when it evolves, not very good. So, that's 2 strikes, Ladybug. You're out. So, yeah, that's Ladybug. He's round, and that's all he has going for him. Pokemon number 166, Ledian. I just remember a story of my good friend using a Ledian in the normal type gym in Johto, using Mach Punch on that Miltank, and doing nothing. Negligible damage. Ledian is so weak. And you know, first gym, flying type, second gym, its ace has part flying type, so Ledian is just not worth using at all. And once again, I just don't like ladybugs, so once again, Ledian, 2 strikes and you're out, just like your pre-evo. So yeah, that's Ledian. Super weak, not even worth using early game. Pokemon number 167, Spinarak. It is certainly interesting that they made 2 regional bugs and made them version exclusives. You know, I can't really remember if they ever did that again. And so, because of that, Spinarak is just as weak as Ladybug. But I definitely think Spinarak is better. Why? Well, simply put, it can poison. Also, its typing doesn't give it a 4 times weakness, so that certainly helps. And it's odd, because just like ladybugs, I don't like spiders in real life, but I don't mind Spinarak and several other Spider-Mons. So yeah, that's Spinarak. If you gotta go with an early game bug in Johto, you gotta go with Spinarak. Pokemon number 168, Ariados. Yeah, once again, I don't like spiders in real life, but I think Ariados looks neat. You know, I don't know why, it's odd, definitely. But yeah, Ariados, definitely better than Ledian, by far. And they gave him access to Swords Dance starting in Gen 7, so you know, next time you get a Johto remake, Ariados might be able to do some work. Early game, that is, early game. And once again, the whole just being able to poison and not having a 4 times weakness easily gives him a 1-up on Ledian. So yeah, it's Ariados. A neat looking spider that very easily outclasses his counterpart. Pokemon number 169. Nice. Crobat. Our first new evolution for an older gen Pokemon, and boy was Crobat necessary. I love Crobat. He looks fantastic. It's really cool how he has 4 wings, and he has a inverted color scheme than his pre-Evo forms. And he's super fast and reliable. And of course, there's just the classic joke that in order to evolve the most hated Pokemon into something actually good, you need to love it. So yeah, that's Crobat. The Gen 1 purists can't stop him. Crobat's too fast. Pokemon number 170. Chinchou. Chinchou is very cute, which is ironic considering the horrifying monster it's based off of, with that monster's most prominent appearance being in, of course, the classic Pixar film Finding Nemo. It's an anglerfish. I should probably say it's an anglerfish for anyone who didn't already know. But yeah, Chinchou is this adorable baby anglerfish with a fantastic typing in water and electric. So yeah, that's Chinchou. Leave it to Game Freak to turn this unspeakable horror into a cute, marketable plushie. Pokemon number 171. Lantern. All I gotta do to hype up a very certain specific group of people is go, "Hey guys, it's Shucky!" If you know, you know. You know, I was pretty meh on Lantern for the longest time, and then that whole Shucky meme showed up, and I now really do like Lantern. It's neat. While its stats certainly aren't the best, that typing does heavily carry it, and it certainly can be useful on a just casual playthrough team. Oh yeah, that's Shucky, I mean Lantern. Man, this entire video's around that Shucky meme that like 5 people are gonna get. Oh well, Shucky MVP. Pokemon number 172. Pichu. Here we have our first baby Pokemon. But what's a baby Pokemon? Well, it's just a first stage Mon that can't breed. For example, starters on their first stage can breed, but Pichu can't until you evolve into Pikachu. Now, Pikachu was already cute enough, but then you made it into a baby, and it was, very expected to be cute as well. But other than that, there's not too much more to say since, it's a baby Pokemon. They're purposefully weak, and a lot of the times you can't even get them early game, which you really should. Oh, and shout out to it being a joke character in Smash Bros. So, yeah, that's Pichu. It probably wasn't very hard to make it cute considering its source material. Pokemon number 173. Cleffa. I know there is always this debate on how necessary baby Pokemon are. Are they just a waste of space, dex filler, if you will? And sure, I can agree on somewhat of that, but I don't know, man, I really like Cleffa. It's very cute. Maybe I'm slightly more accepting towards Cleffa because it kind of was one of the first baby Pokemon to be made available early game in the wilds. That is, in Gen 4, years after it was made and baby Pokemon were a thing. So, yeah, that's Cleffa. Useless? Sure, but I'm a bit biased towards it. Pokemon number 174. Igglybuff. Alright, now we can get into the anti-baby Pokemon debate. Because Igglybuff is meh. Not a biggest fan of its little hair head thing, it looks odd to me. Maybe the reason Igglybuff feels less necessary than Cleffa is because Clefable is actually pretty dang good with its tankiness, good type, and its magic guard ability, whereas Wigglytuff, not as strong. So, yeah, that's Igglybuff. Is this our first Pokemon to fall under the didn't need to exist camp? I don't want to be that mean, but... Pokemon number 175. Togepi. Togepi is literally the baby Pokemon. Still being in an egg, kinda. And of course being the free egg you get in the Johto games, and it having a very prominent role in the anime. Yeah, Togepi is great. I do really like it. And it getting that fairy typing was extra great. And I call Togepi the baby Pokemon, but Pichu exists, and it's the baby Pokemon of the mascot of the series, so I definitely think there's an argument you can be made about those two fighting for a spot of the baby Pokemon. So, yeah, that's Togepi. I guess we can't really say no baby Pokemon, they're useless, because that means we wouldn't get Togepi. Pokemon number 176. Togetic. So you get this big important egg as a part of the story. You go through the effort of hatching it, and then you go through the effort of making it love you, friendship grinding and all that. And then it finally evolves into this. And it's the final form for years. Oof. Togetic looks fine. I do like its design, but it's not good until it evolves. So, in the earlier games, it's genuinely not worth the effort unless you just want to complete the Pokedex. And I think in a way it speaks volumes that its evolution that it eventually got is not only really good, but really popular. It's a beloved Pokemon, and I do like it too. So yeah, that's Togetic. Not worth it until I got that evolution. Not at all. Pokemon number 177. Not two. Johto and Round. It seems like those two words just go together at this point. Yet another round boy. I definitely like Natu, it's fine. It has a very cute look to it. And it's a psychic flying type, so it's what Noctowl really should have been. And it has Magic Bounce as its hidden ability, and that's pretty hype, I do like that ability. And its regular ability, Synchronize, ooh, that's a very handy ability. So yeah, that's Natu. Just a nice, simple little Birdmon. That's once again, very round. Pokemon number 178. Xatu. Xatu is pretty neat, with just all of the stuff that it's based off of. At one part it's based off a totem pole, so one of its old fainting animations had it falling over like a pole falling over, and it does flag signals with its wings. I think flag signals is what it's called, what it does. And in general, it's just a decent mon with a decent typing and some decent stats. So yeah, that's Xatu. A neat mon with a ton of stuff going into its design that I'm sure you could make a nice long YouTube video out of if you went over everything. Pokemon number 179. Mareep. Mareep is a fan favorite, since it's this adorable little sheep with neat electricity powers. So it really shouldn't be a shock to say that I do really like Mareep as well. It's an adorable sheep. I love it. And you get it early in Johto, and it's relatively reliable throughout the entire playthrough. And I know Game Freak knows the power of Mareep because they made it not available in Crystal, so if you wanted Mareep, you had to also buy Gold or Silver. So yeah, that's Mareep. Yet another Pokemon that is very obvious and very cliche to like, but hey, I can't help it, Mareep's great. Pokemon number 180. Flaffy. An adorable evolution to the adorable Mareep. I do really like Flaffy. Flaffy is interesting because it starts to lose a lot of its fluff that it had as Mareep, but then when you consider what it evolves into, it makes sense. And I didn't have time to talk about this with Mareep, so you can apply this to Mareep as well, but the Flaffy's tail is adorable, and it's really neat how it lights up, because, you know, it's an electric type. And I guess, just in general, the name Flaffy, the word Flaffy, is a fun, cute name. So, yeah, that's Flaffy. A fantastic, adorable mon that is a very worthy evolution to the fantastic and adorable as well, Mareep. Pokemon number 181. Ampharos. Ampharos is great, man. I love it. A fantastic conclusion to the Mareep line. And from the fact that throughout the entire evolutionary line, it loses its fluff more and more, could you consider Ampharos comparable to a hairless cat? Just food for thought. Ampharos is adorable, and it can also look nice and intimidating, and, you know, it is pretty dang strong. Also, now it has two spots that light up, its tail and the little gem on its head. And because of that, it's also very neat that it's now, like, the Pokemon that runs lighthouses. So, yeah, that's Ampharos. I never run out of good things to say for Ampharos. It is absolutely fantastic. Pokemon number 182. Blossom. Our first branched evolution. And I do like branched evolutions. It's a fantastic concept. Blossom is the alternate evolution for Oddish, and personally I do like it over Vileplume, though I think Vileplume is technically better just because it also has that stab poison, whereas Blossom only has one stab, and that being grass. And you know, every generation kind of has a Waifumon? Is Blossom Gen 2's Waifumon? Because, like, it's the only one that really fits the category, I think. But intrusive thoughts out of the way, Blossom is a very cute little dancing Pokemon. So, yeah, it's Blossom. I don't care if the counterpart is technically better. I definitely prefer Blossom. Pokemon number 183. Meryl. Guys, look, we found it. It's the elusive Peekaboo. If you know, you know. I got a question for you. What's the Pikachu clone of Gen 2? Is it Pichu, because it's a baby Pikachu? Is it Meryl, because, you know, it's a two-stager and the whole Peekaboo comparison? Or is it Mareep, because it's a reliable electric type? Questions, but now let's actually talk about Meryl. I do like Meryl. It is very cute. Yet another round boy for Johto. Though, bro, Game Freak, why is it so rare? Also, it's pretty neat how it got the fairy typing. That was very handy. So, yeah, that's Meryl. Unnecessarily rare in Johto, and that certainly didn't help dispel the Peekaboo stories. Pokemon number 184. Azumarill. For just how rare Meryl is in Johto, Azumarill really isn't very good in the original games. And then, abilities were introduced in Gen 3, and oh boy, Azumarill just took off. Azumarill had good bulk, but low attacking stats, and then its ability that it got doubles its attack stat, so now this thing hits so hard and can take a good bit of hits. It became fantastic. And then you gave it the fairy type in Gen 6, Game Freak, goodness! Oh, I never even talked about its design. I like it, it looks neat. So, yeah, that's Azumarill. Hard carried by its ability. No question. Pokemon number 185. Sudowoodo. There are those who ask, why isn't Sudowoodo a grass type? Do me a favor and look up the word pseudo means. Sudowoodo is a fake tree. He always pretends to be a tree, and nobody ever falls for it. Except in the original games, when you didn't know he existed, and then there's just this big tree here, and it's always like every other cut tree, but nope. That was a Pokemon. But after that first appearance, yeah, you, ain't fooling anyone, Sudowoodo. We all know. So, yeah, that's Sudowoodo. A one-trick pony that we learned the tricks of a long time ago. But I guess we don't hate him, because we find it funny that he still tries to do it nowadays, even though we see you. Pokemon number 186. Politoed. Shout out to that one time I found a fancy-looking polycard toad on the floor in the hallway in like 4th grade or something. Though I don't know what I did with it, because I don't seem to have it still. Politoed was super perplexing to me as a young lad, because, you know, completely different color scheme and look than his other forms and such. And then, you know, just get older, find out that Poliwag's based off a tadpole, so this is like an actual frog, you know, green frog. And it's like, okay, it makes sense now. And then you got Politoed just being an absolute meta-defining menace in Gen 5 competitive since it can set rain. And it was the first Mon to introduce the trade while holding an item to evolve method. So yeah, that's Politoed. A Mon with a very storied history, might I say. Pokemon number 187. Hoppip. Do I out myself? I'm gonna have to out myself. Hey guys, look, it's Babu. If you know, you know. And, you know, wasn't Hoppip also, like, a de facto mascot for, like, another YouTuber? That's really interesting that Hoppip of all Pokemon is, like, kind of a de facto mascot for, like, 2 prominent YouTubers. I mean, yeah, Hoppip is cute. Kinda useless, but, you know, it's cute. And, of course, recently we've all seen the fact that it just gets blown out of the stratosphere whenever there's a storm in Scarlet and Violet. Which, contrary to what some of you may be thinking, no, that's not a bug. That really is what is supposed to happen to Hoppip in a rainstorm. So, yeah, that's Hoppip. Mr. Living Large over here giving me 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but strange that I can give me 2. Pokemon number 188. Skiploom. Skiploom's fine, you know? I guess it's pretty neat how that yellow flower thing on its head just, like, spins around while it's floating around. But other than that, there's not too much more to say, you know? It's a relatively simple design, it's relatively weak in game, it takes a while to evolve, so I don't really know how worth it that is. So, yeah, that's Skiploom. It's fine. Pokemon number 189. Jumpluff. Jumpluff is definitely really cute. But, oof, it is not very good. And you need to get it, like, to level 27, nearly to level 30 to evolve it? Ugh. And here's the thing. I'm sure you look at it and you think, yeah, it's a special attacker, obviously. Grass and flying, yeah, definitely. Its attack stat and special attack stat are the exact same, and one of its lowest stats. Ugh. So that means it's a tank! With a 4 times weakness, and a ton of other weaknesses. So, yeah, that's Jumpluff. Cute design, but oof. That's all I can really say. Pokemon number 190. Apom. Monkey. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of monkeys, really. But Apom has definitely grown on me over the years, probably because of his prominent appearances in mainly the anime. You know, it followed Ash around for a while and then just followed him to Sinnoh since it got an evolution. That was pretty neat. You know, Apom is definitely kind of odd when you think about the idea behind him, because, you know, he has a hand for a tail. Yes, a cartoony hand, but like I said, the idea of having a hand for a tail. Also, just in general, he's not very good in the games. And then his evolution, that's actually kind of decent, is very polarizing, so yeah. So, yeah, that's Apom. A lot of good and a lot of bad to say about him, honestly. But if you really like monkeys, you don't care about all of that, and you're just all like, ooh. Pokemon number 191. Sunkern. Sunkern is very cute. I do like his design. And it even has the title of weakest Pokemon of all time. That is, until recently. That's right, it's been dethroned. by Gen 7's base form Wishy-Washy, and Gen 8's Blipbug shares the same stats as Sunkern now. So, yeah, Sunkern kind of lost its one thing going for him. That's kind of sad, because, like, other than that, it's just a super weak Pokemon. So, yeah, that's Sunkern. The weakest Pokemon until more recently. Maybe we can give it a new title of Pokemon to be the weakest for the longest amount of time? Pokemon number 192. Sunflora. Well, everyone, we've made it to my least favorite Pokemon of all time. I hate Sunflora with a burning passion. It's weak, has a super bland and basic design, and most importantly, it doesn't have character. In the second Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game, every single Pokemon's personality is 100% tied to their species. You could not, for example, replace Bidoof with another regional variant rodent. But with Sunflora, you could so easily replace it with Blossom, or Roselia, or cheating and going to future gens, Lilligant, or Steenie. You wouldn't have to change a single line of dialogue other than its name being said, and I am very much including the extra side story it gets in Explores the Sky. So, yeah, that's Sunflora. The worst. An absolute forgettable waste of space. Pokemon number 193. Yanma. Here we have our first trophy Pokemon of Gen 2, as in 1% to find it on one route in the game. It's really weak, so the only reason you'd want to catch it is to complete the Pokedex. It's a trophy. But then it got a super cool evolution in Gen 4, so that kind of, retroactively makes Yanma a lot cooler, honestly. Because I do like Yanma, but I'm sure I wouldn't care for it if it didn't have that cool evolution. So, yeah, that's Yanma. Yanma? Whatever. It's neat. Only thanks to that evolution it got later on, though. Pokemon number 194. Wooper. Look at this dude. It's him. Wooper just is one of those Pokemon that, like, everybody likes, everybody knows about, everyone's always memeing about, because, just look at him. And, well, not that big of a boost, I would definitely say is slightly helped by the fact that it has a fantastic typing in water and ground, only having one weakness, though it is a 4x weakness. So, yeah, that's Wooper. Definitely a very unique take on an axolotl, but that gamble Game Freak took of designing it this way definitely paid off, since Wooper is a fan favorite. Pokemon number 195. Quagsire. Quagsire's kind of like Psyduck, where I like him, but I wouldn't die for him like a lot of other people would, Like I said in the past, derpiness doesn't guarantee a like from me, where it does from other people. So Quagsire, yeah, he's fine. He has a great typing and all, so that definitely helps. Though I've definitely made a more firm stance on Quagsire lately, since his brand new variant form, I like him a lot more. So yeah, that's Quagsire. His derpiness and good typing was only able to take him up to a I like him tier. Pokemon number 196. Espeon. I love Espeon, man. It is fantastic. Such a nice, aesthetically pleasing design. I love the split tail, the little gem on its head. Its ears have a neat shape, just, it's well designed. Oh, also a nice shade of purple. I like that. Espeon is just a fantastic Pokemon to use. Really reliable, fantastic special attack and speed. It's a psychic type, so stab psychic. Ooh, that does some damage. So, yeah, that's Espeon. A fantastic, reliable evolution with some really interesting design decisions. Pokemon number 197. Umbreon. I don't want to say it. I do not want to say Umbreon is my second least favorite evolution. Because that sounds like, well, I don't really like Umbreon. No! I love Umbreon! It's fantastic! I love its design. Just the golden rings all around it. Just fantastic. And then they light up. Really cool. And I've certainly experienced the unfortunate situation of running into an Umbreon unprepared, and then this thing just being a tank and not dying. So, yeah, that's Umbreon. I cannot tell this thing to its face that it's one of my least favorite evolutions. I just can't. I absolutely love Umbreon. It's just, some other evolutions are just really stiff competition. Pokemon number 198. Murkrow. Johto is just really hard to talk about, because there's a lot of Pokemon, like Murkrow, who were introduced in Gen 2, one stager, super weak, and then they get really cool evolutions a couple gens later. Like, I like Murkrow. You know, he's a neat little mobster crow that got the new at the time dark typing. But do I like him? Because he got a new evolution later on that actually made him, you know, kind of useful in-game at least. Yeah, that is the question. Also, shout out to it being legitimately kind of competitively viable in Gen 9. That's pretty funny. So, yeah, that's Murkrow. It really does beg the question of, what would I feel about Murkrow if I, say, made this video before Gen 4 came out? Pokemon number 199. Slowking. Ah, I see what you did there. You made the Shelder bite his head instead of his tail. Fantastic idea for a branched evolution to Slowpoke. Love it. And shout out to Slowking being that wise old sage in the second Pokemon movie. Slowking is neat, I do like him, though I don't really know how useful he is in-game. I've never used one, just because of, you know, how hard it is to get one, having to trade a Slowpoke holding a King's Rock. So, yeah, that's Slowking. Mr. Opposite of Head Empty himself, full of knowledge, or however that meme goes. Pokemon number 200. Misdreavus. Here we have yet another Pokemon that has a neat evolution that I really like, that it got later. So I guess we'll try to talk about it how it was when it was first introduced, and ignore the evolution for now. Misdreavus isn't that strong, and it's only available in the last area of the game, after you get all 16 badges. Game Freak, what were you on? The definition of a trophy Pokemon if I've ever seen one. So lifting that evolution embargo, hey, very hyped that it got a great looking evolution that's actually useful. So yeah, that's Misdreavus. And you thought Meryl was unreasonably rare for how strong it was in Johto. Pokemon number 201. Unknown. Alright, raise your hand if this piece of propaganda right here made you think Unknown was a lot more important and special than it actually is. And raise your hand if that movie tricked you into catching all the Unknown in-game, only to get nothing. Unknown really just is the oddest thing. I guess, talking about design, yeah, it is pretty neat how they made a Pokemon that, like, has a form for every letter in the alphabet. And all the puzzles in Ruins of Elf are fun. You know, at least in Gen 4, they gave you, like, an item for catching all the Unknown with that tunnel expansion. But in Johto, not worth it at all. So, yeah, that's Unknown. There are so many puns you can make with its name about its situation, but I'm gonna spare you from that. Pokemon number 202. Wobbuffet. As a young lad that only, had attacking moves on his Pokemon, of course I would overlook the no attacking moves at all Wobbuffet. But nowadays, yeah, no, I very much know about him. Definitely thanks to just Nuzlocke videos in general, just because of how dangerous Wobbuffet can actually be. It also helps that he was a mainstay in the anime with Team Rocket. And then you got that theory that the real Wobbuffet is that black tail with eyes, and the rest of it is just a decoy. So yeah, that's Wobbuffet. A Pokemon that childhood me was not able to appreciate or fear. But nowadays, I'm a lot more educated on what he can do. Pokemon number 203. Girafarig. Alright, let's get the obvious did you know out of the way. Hey guys, did you know Girafarig's a palindrome? You can spell its name backwards and it'll say the same thing. And that little fun fact is all Girafarig really had going for him, He might have been decent in the original Johto games, I don't know, I haven't used one. But yeah, Girafarig just sat there for years, just being a mediocre whatever Pokemon, just another one in the list. And then he finally got an evolution. The story of Johto, honestly. And now that Girafarig actually has a spotlight on him, yeah, I like his design. He looks neat. his tail being another living entity is a pretty neat idea. So yeah, that's Girafarig. A neat design that, just recently, finally got some attention. Pokemon number 204. Pineco. Oh man, they made a Pinecone a Pokemon! No guys, it's a bagworm that looks like a pinecone, and has the name Pinecone, but with an O. I wonder how you would get that mixed up with it just being a pinecone. Though it is certainly interesting that he explodes, that they made this pinecone bagworm-looking thing explode. That's like one of its big characteristics. And, you know, it was originally able to be gotten via headbutting trees in Johto, and now more recently in Scarlet and Violet, the, I guess, vision behind Pineco is finally realized, since it literally hangs from trees and you physically run into the tree to make it fall down, and that's neat. So yeah, that's Pineco. I don't know how you guys would mistake it for a pinecone. It only looks like a pinecone, has pinecone in its name. Wait. Pokemon number 205. Fortress. Here we have our first Bug and Steel typing. A fantastic type combination. And putting it on a tank like Fortress, ooh, this guy can take some hits. As long as it ain't a fire move. Fortress is pretty neat, you know? Pretty surprising that that's what Pineco evolves into. Also, shout out to Fortress still sticking to its Pineco roots, and it's still hanging from trees in Scarlet and Violet. That's funny, because of just how big it is. So yeah, that's Fortress. The name's self-explanatory. That man's a tank. With that typing, he can take some hits. So yeah, no, that 4x weakness was definitely necessary for balancing reasons. Pokemon number 206. Dunsparce. For years, I did not care about Dunsparce, and then I was playing a fan game that gave him an evolution, and he kind of became my unofficial rival, because I always had trouble dealing with him for my team composition. And I started to really like Dunsparce and hop on the train of Dunsparce is great and deserves an evolution. And then he finally got one! And it's a big meme, and I love it. You know you can't improve perfection, so of course he barely changes. Like the fact that everyone was imagining he evolved in some really cool serpent dragon thingy, and then he just gets slightly bigger. Oh man, that's funny. But yeah, no, thanks to the fan game and just memes in general, I really like Dunsparce now. He's fantastic. So yeah, that's Dunsparce. The man, the myth, the legend himself, finally getting the recognition he deserves after all these years of waiting. Pokemon number 207. Gligar. I really love Gligar's evolution that was introduced in Gen 4. As for Gligar himself, you know, he's a decent first stage. But him existing as the only stage for the first several years of his existence, oof. Then that's just how Johto goes. Also, Flying Ground, surprisingly good typing. So yeah, that's Gligar. I really am a broken record at this point with just the state of how Johto Pokemon are. Pokemon number 208. Steelix. Oh, now we're talking. Sure, Fortress was pretty neat, but this is a Steel type. Oh, I love Steelix. He is such a fantastic evolution to Onix. Doubling his attack stat past Oddish for a respectable 85, and then hitting us with a nice 200 base defense. Let me tell you, Steelix was the reason I was able to beat Red, heavily underleveled in Pokemon Crystal. So yeah, that's Steelix. Absolutely fantastic, super strong, super cool. Took a joke of a Pokemon in Onix and, you know, actually made him better than good. Pokemon number 209. Snubbull. Snubbull falls under that category of ugly dog that people think is cute because it's ugly. Sorry fam, I ain't in that camp. I don't really care for Snubbull too much. And still very surprised it got that fairy typing. So yeah, that's Snubbull. Meh. Though I got a question for you. How big is the camp of people who find ugly dogs cute? I need to know in order to know how big I have to make the barricade around my house after posting this video. Pokemon number 210. Granbull. Alright, I guess on some level I can understand maybe why they gave Snubbull the fairy typing, but Granbull, I don't really see why he got the fairy typing, other than the obvious fact that he evolves from Snubbull, so he kinda had to have it. Just like Snubbull, I don't really care for Gramble all too much, which ironically is kind of to my detriment, since apparently he's really good in Colosseum, so I've always just passed him by and struggled in Colosseum otherwise. So yeah, that's Gramble. Meh, again. Oh, by the way, update on Barrier. It's doing pretty well. It's keeping people out. Oh, wait, no, it looks like it just got broken into. Uh-oh. Pokemon number 211. Quillfish. Just insert the pufferfish meme here. Yeah, Quillfish is pretty meh. Yet another trophy Pokemon for Gen 2, but this time fishing. You know, looking at him, I would definitely think he's a more tanky mon, but no, his attack and speed stats are the highest, so... yeah. Very nice that he got that evolution, though I haven't had the chance to use one yet. Also, yeah, I guess it is pretty cool how he's a pufferfish mixed with one of those water mines. So, yeah, that's Quillfish. Once again, a pufferfish meme. That's all I got. Pokemon number 212. Scizor. We've made it. It's him. Scizor is easily one of my favorite Pokemon. Definitely in my top 20. I don't know if he's in my top 10 though, because there's just so many Pokemon. But top 20, absolutely. I love everything about him. He's so cool, well-designed, intimidating, and he can still pull off the friendly partner look even. And it's super interesting how Scizor doesn't get stronger than Scyther. He just allocates the stats around to do other things, which, you know, helps keep Scyther to still be decent, because I do really like Scyther as well. You know, they're both fantastic mons. So yeah, that's Scizor. A classic example of how to improve a Pokemon without replacing it, because both him and his pre-Evo are fantastic. Pokemon number 213. Shuckle. You don't mess with Shuckle. Though there's a bit more to that phrase, if you know, you know. Shuckle is definitely very interesting, with it just having the highest defenses in the game, and then terrible everything else to balance him out. And then he has that fun fact where he can do the most damage in the game if you swap his attack and defense, get 5-turn rollout, and use it on a 4th-time super effective mon. Was that ever debunked, or is that like it really is an actual fact? Because like I swear I might have seen a debunked video about that entire topic one of these days. Or maybe it's just because of all the new mechanics introduced, there's a newer way to deal even more damage? I don't know. So yeah, that's Shuckle. Oh, you know, I never talked about the fact that people make juice inside his shell. That's kind of disturbing. Pokemon number 214. Heracross. Heracross is absolutely fascinating, since it's the new counterpart to Pinsir, since they gave Scyther an evolution and just left Pinsir as he is. Like, off the top of my head, I cannot think of another time where they literally changed a counterpart of some sort, in some sort of way. But moving on, I do like Heracross. He's really neat, and yeah, I'll definitely pick him over Pinsir still, so oof. The old counterpart picked Scyther, the new counterpart picked Heracross. Sorry, Pinsir. So, yeah, that's Heracross. This man had some big shoes to fill to replace Scyther as the counterpart to Pinsir, and, well, I still prefer Scyther over Heracross. Heracross is still fantastic, I love him. Pokemon number 215. Sneasel. Normally, I'd be like, oh, you know, another one of those Johto Pokemon, you know the Johto Pokemon. But, like, Sneasel has 95 attack and 115 speed. Like, those are some respectable, usable in the earlier game stats. But it's just, my newer generation brain just cannot get past the fact that you got another Johto Pokemon that got another neat evolution later down the line that made it usable. Even though, yeah, no, 95 is not that bad. Though it might help that I do really like Sneasel as a Pokemon, and then yeah, I do like his evolution as well. But you know, they're both good designs. So yeah, that's Sneasel. Is it another one of those Johto Pokemon, or is my newer gen bias really getting in the way on this one? Pokemon number 216. Teddiursa. Here we have a classic take on a adorable teddy bear, and yeah, Teddiursa is pretty cute. Also, this thing has an 80 attack. Did not see that coming. That teddy bear can hit you pretty hard, surprisingly. And other than that, there's not too much more to say. The design's relatively simple, though I guess shout out to the little moon on its head, since, you know, it's a teddy bear. You sleep with a teddy bear at night when the moon's out. That's my guess. So yeah, that's Teddiursa. It's a cute teddy bear. What more is there to say? Pokemon 217. Ursaring. So I, kinda slept on Ursaring for years, you know, don't really care too much about bears, other than the childhood legend Winnie the Pooh, of course. Then I played through Gale of Darkness for the first time, decided I was gonna have that Salamence at the end of the game on my team, so I need a placeholder team member, so I'm like, sure, I'll use that Teddiursa that you get right at the beginning, and then replace him. Oh boy, that Ursaring carried me through the entire game, my goodness. I kind of, didn't replace him with that Salamence when the time came. And then he got that new evolution recently, which is insanely strong. So, yeah, that's Ursaring. Man, sometimes all it really takes is one simple playthrough with the Mon to realize, ooh, this guy's fantastic. Pokemon number 218. Slugma. Alright, I know what's gonna happen in the comments section down below, just hurry up and get it out of your system. Slugma's neat, yeah, I guess I like his design, you know, a neat little lava slug, kinda cool. But Game Freak, why is the new Johto Pokemon only in Kanto? What are you doing? Then he needs to get level 38 to evolve, he's not even that good! And because of all that, Slugma's the first Pokemon that is understandably mistaken by a lot of people for being a Hoenn native, because he's more easy to get in that game. And I don't know if I ever thought that. I know I did for another Mon coming up, but I don't remember if I did for Slugma or not. So yeah, that's Slugma. He's Johto native, which you wouldn't know because you can't catch him in Johto. Pokemon number 219. Macargo. Macargo fast. Though actually no, Macargo is really slow, because he's a slug, and then he has a 4 times weakness, and then his highest stat is defense. Ugh. Evolving at level 38, Game Freak, what are you doing? The Macargo is kind of relevant thanks to just a simple meme of a Pokedex entry that talks about him being hotter than the sun. So, you know, anything that goes near it, like, evaporates instantly or something. I don't know, I'm not a scientist. So, yeah, that's Macargo. Surprisingly a lot to say about him. But that is, everything I have to say about him is outside the games, because inside the games, ugh. Pokemon number 220. Swinub. Swinub is a very interesting design. A very, kind of, definitely cute pig with, like, fur and it's ice. Interesting. It's very interesting. And it evolves into something really cool and strong in later generations. And other than that, the stripes on it look neat, I guess. So, yeah, that's Swinub. Just give it a few generations. Trust the process. Pokemon number 221. Piloswine. Or Piloswine, I don't know. This right here is the ultimate, bro, that was the final form for years, Pokemon. How was this considered complete for years? I'm sorry, but that is a middle stage. Period. Like, after it got an evolution, yeah, it looks fine, I like it. It's a good middle stage. So, yeah, that's Piloswine. Middle stage. This is a middle stage. Whoever thought this was complete. Pokemon number 222. Corsola. Corsola is very cute, but it's not very strong, so definitely needed that evolution. You know, Corsola's kinda had it rough. Like, all of his existence, when it began, it, sucked. And then in Gen 7, it got a natural predator. And then in Gen 8, it died. It's a neat, and maybe even kind of important, idea. This Coral Reef Pokemon died just like the real Coral Reefs are dying. Do something about that. So, yeah, that's Corsola. It suffered its entire life, but now it can finally... Well, no, it can't even rest. We still need to use it. It's pretty good with Eviolite. You ain't going to sleep yet. Pokemon number 223. Remoraid. Remoraid's fine, you know, it's a neat little fish, I guess. But it's more interesting to talk about its interactions with other Pokemon, because, you know, it has that whole connection with Mantine, and then what it evolves into, we'll get to that tomorrow. But an interesting thing they did was in the Gen 2 remakes, they made Remoraid a 3% encounter on one route in the entire game, for some reason. So, yeah, that's Remoraid. More interesting to talk about the stuff around it than Remoraid itself. Pokemon number 224. Octillery. The age-old question, why does a fish evolve into an octopus? Well, thanks to recent leaks from the old demo of Gen 2, we now know the answer. Remoraide's beta design was a gun, and Octillery's beta design was a tank. So, gun to tank, weapon to weapon. Makes sense. And I guess when they sanded down the edges, it got lost in translation. As for Octillery himself, yeah, he's fine, I guess. Though he has a real bad signature move. 65 power and 85 accuracy. Why? So, yeah, that's Octillery. The secrets of the universe. Or that is, at least, Octillery. Finally answered after all these years. Pokemon number 225. Delibird. Hey, you think they did that on purpose? 25, Christmas, Santa Claus Pokemon? Delibird is certainly interesting, another weak Mon, has one signature move that, has a chance to heal the opponent, but, one, he can learn a lot of TMs, and two, he's not a trophy Pokemon, because, he ain't rare, you can find him easy. I don't know, it's is this the point where we start saying Dex filler? But, he has a very distinct theme, so it's, So, yeah, that's the Delibird, the Christmas cheering Pokemon himself. And then there's that whole thing about his bag being his tail, and well, how does that biologically work? Pokemon number 226. Mantine. I definitely like Mantine. He has just a nice design, a nice aesthetic to him. Aesthetically pleasing. There we go, that's the word I always use. And Mantine also has that very neat connection with Remoraid, just a bunch of Remoraids hanging out on his wings. And shout out to Mantine in the Pokemon Adventures manga specifically, because, that moment when they just got 50 Remoraids on Mantine and, propulse him at super high speeds with Water Gun, that's an iconic moment. Look at this! We got a bunch of Remoraid on Mantine, blasting Lugia, This is the reason I like Mantine, it's just very hype in the manga. So, yeah, that's Mantine. Is this the first Pokemon I like specifically because of the manga? I don't know, maybe. Pokemon number 227. Skarmory. I'm seeing a pattern. So far, all of the new Steel types, I'm, really liking, and, Skarmory does not break that pattern. I love Skarmory, he's so cool. And he's also just known as this big tank, the king of setting up field effects and statuses and all that. And Skarmory is another Pokemon that made a lot of people, including myself actually, thinking it's a Gen 3 native, because, it's only it's a version exclusive in Gen 2, so you didn't even have to buy the right game of the two to find one. Not to mention the Champion of Hoenn has one in Ruby Sapphire, so yeah, very understandable mistake. So, yeah, that's Skarmory. I always say, Fire and Dragon some of my favorite types, but I guess Steel might be up there, too. Pokemon number 228. Houndour. Here we have a nice, cute devil puppy, basically. It can try to act all intimidating, and sure, it could be intimidating in packs, as we saw at the beginning of Scarlet and Violet, but it's a cute little puppy. Now, Game Freak, once again, why is it not in Johto? It's a Johto native, and it's a fire type. There ain't really too many fire types in Johto. It would have been a nice addition to my team in, a plethora of playthroughs, but, nope. So, yeah, that's Houndour. I guess even if it tries to act intimidating but doesn't look intimidating, it can still breathe fire, so still gotta watch out. Pokemon number 229. Houndoom. Houndoom looks very cool. Love the horns, and I guess just the whole, bone armor aesthetic around, him. And Houndoom was actually great pre-physical special split, since he learns Crunch, which is a special move back in the day, and, a speedy special attacker. That's great. Too bad we can't really use one in Gens 2 and 3, and then the physical special split happened in Gen 4, and oh look, we can finally use one. Shout out to that first Nuzlocke I did in that Gen 3 ROM hack, where I was finally able to use Houndoom and realize his true potential. So, yeah, that's Houndoom. Just when we can finally use him, he gets nerfed by just a general game mechanic shift. Bruh. Pokemon number 230. Kingdra. Oh, I love Kingdra. Such a cool dragon evolution for the good old Horsey line to finish off so strong. Shout out to that one acquaintance in high school that said Seadra was perfect and Kingdra didn't need to happen. Like, we've already gone over the fact that Kingdra was in Gen 1, and then cut, and then brought back for Gen 2. So, yeah, Kingdra, always there, Seadra, always a non-complete middle stage. And man, Water and Dragon, such a good type combination. Weak to only Dragon, which is so good in Gen 2. So, yeah, that's Kingdra. I'm not gonna even humor any dissent. Kingdra was a necessary thing. It's a good thing. He was brought back after being cut in Gen 1. Pokemon number 231. Phanpy. Here we have the adorable little elephant Phanpy, and he curls up into a ball and rolls around. Fantastic. And Game Freak actually did Phanpy some justice by making him evolve at level 25. Finally! A reasonable evolution for how strong this mon is. That's not common. And of course, shout out to Ash getting one in the anime. They knew what they were doing. Easily marketable plushie right there. So, yeah, that's Phanpy. Just all around a fantastic, cute little mon. Pokemon number 232. Donphan. The adorable Phanpy evolves into this super strong, super tough looking, big old tusks, ground elephant Donphan that still rolls around, but now it's like a way more impact. You know, it's like a tire. A tire made out of super hard earth, I guess. And in Gen 2, it has this little interesting trade-off where it does learn Earthquake naturally at level 49, so like, do you wait, or do you waste your one Earthquake TM? So, yeah, that's Donphan. A fantastic, super tough powerhouse of a mon. Pokemon number 233. Porygon 2. Now, if only he was numbered 232, so I could say 2 3 times instead of 2 times. You give Porygon the upgrade, you trade him, and he uses that upgrade to smooth himself out. A fantastic idea for an evolution to the, not joke as in bad, but like, it was literally a joke, Porygon. And thanks to this new evolution, this once useless trophy Pokemon is now actually kinda useful. Though not as useful as he would get once Eviolite's introduced in Gen 5. So yeah, that's Porygon 2. Such a fantastic continuation of this joke. Love it. Pokemon number 234. Stantler. Stantler's kind of odd, because just looking at him, he looks like he'd be another trophy Pokemon, but no, he's not that rare in the route you can find him in Johto. And you know, he's not even that bad in Gen 2, since 95 attack, you know, that's pretty good since his stab is normal type physical. But you know the story by now. Man for the longest time, and then finally gets an evolution all these years later, and ooh, that's pretty neat. So yeah, that's Stantler. Before you ask, I have no clue why I have this little Stantler figure. I don't know when I got it, why I got it, where I got it, I just have one. Pokemon number 235. Smeargle. Shout out to Smeargle just completely ruining another Pokemon just because of what he can do. Smeargle is certainly an interesting mon with the interesting gimmick of being able to learn permanently any move in the game. Though, why is the Painter Pokemon only available in Ruins of Elf? That's kind of random. My only guess is they really wanted to put him in a super secluded, off-the-beaten-path area because of just, you know, how crazy he can get, even with those stats, just because of being able to, you know, learn every move. So, yeah, that's Smeargle. You know, why don't we take the, You Ruin My Life, I Don't Know Who You Are meme, and make it Darkrai and Smeargle? Because, like, yeah, that's what happened, thanks to good old Smeargle the Menace. Pokemon number 236. Tyrogue. Tyrogue is fascinating, since he connected two Pokemon that looked similar, but were different. But now they ain't different, they're just in the same family. There's a nice branched evolution. And it is super interesting how he evolves depending on his attack and defense stats. And I understand why they put him where they put him in Johto, but like, why'd you have to put him at such a low level when you get him, considering just where you are in the game, you know? Like, it discourages you from using one just because of how much you gotta train him up at that point. So, yeah, that's Tyrogue. Fixing something we didn't know needed to be fixed. Bringing together two Pokemon that we knew were connected, but weren't, until now. Pokemon number 237. Hitmontop. Not only did they go and connect the two Hitmons, they went and made a third one. And he has the very requirement of needing to have equal attack and defense to evolve into this new Hitmon form, which, considering each stat has a variant of 1 to 31, and then we introduce Nature's next gen, sometimes you can get lucky and get him right away, sometimes you need to do so much work just to get him. And it's not even really worth it in his debut generation, because he really doesn't learn too many good moves there, along with considering the level you get Tyrogue at. So yeah, that's Hitmontop. You got this nice spinny top boy with a very hit-or-miss evolution method. Pokemon number 238. Smoochum. Ew. Wow, who would have thought the person that doesn't like Jinx also doesn't like Smoochum? Whoa, that's crazy. Never would have seen that coming. But like, dang, it actually kind of learns some decent moves, and 85 isn't the worst thing for something that evolves level 30 to have. Still never using one, no. And heck, the only way to really get one in Gen 2 is the Egg and Crystal, and I would much rather have anything else that comes out of that egg. So yeah, that's Smoochum. Ew. Pokemon number 239. Elekid. Elekid's a neat little mon. Nice way to have the Electabuzz just be available earlier on in the game without being way too strong. Though, of course, you can't get one in the wild, and you can only get it from the Egg and Crystal. Shout out to just having a plug on his head as the design. It's a neat little design, I like it. So, yeah, that's Elekid. The funny plug head baby himself. Pokemon number 240. Magby. Yeah, I like Magby. He's a cute little guy. Though, do I like him more than Elekid since they're their counterparts? Hard question. They're both neat designs. And I've heard that it and Elekid are like real difficult to train up because level 30 is like way too late to evolve for those stats, and I don't know, I haven't really had too much trouble using a Magby when I did. So yeah, that's Magby. Just a cute little baby Magmar. What more is there to say? Pokemon number 241. Miltank. It's him. The devil incarnate himself. Miltank is just notorious as being such a difficult opponent for the normal type gym in Johto. And honestly, I've never really found him the most difficult. Sure, sometimes I've had trouble on him with some runs, but like, most of the time, you know, the next gym with that Gengar is more difficult. Though I guess, with Miltank, you're stuck until you finally beat him, whereas with the next gym, you can do a whole bunch of stuff before you have to take him on. If it's difficult or not really just does depend on who's on your team. So yeah, that's Miltank. Very much feared, but is it warranted? Maybe, depends. Pokemon number 242. Blissey. What have you done? You've taken the already tanky Chansey and made it even stronger. Because 1, Blissey just is an evolved form, so it has higher stats, and 2, Chansey can now use Eviolite when that becomes a thing. Either way, what have you done, Game Freak? Shout out to the meme of taking Chansey down from full health to fainted in the Gen 4 games with that health bar. Oh right, gotta talk about the design. Yeah, I like it. It's just fine, you know. It adds enough detail to improve the very detailless Chansey. So yeah, that's Blissey. Sure, this monster can be taken down with a single physical hit, but that doesn't matter because by the time his HP bar finally reaches 0, we'll all be dead. Pokemon number 243. Raikou. Or Raikou, whatever. Our boy Raikou here has just gotten the short end of the stick, because his 2 counterparts each got a movie, and he got a half-an-hour anime special that like rarely aired. Ugh. So like, for the longest time, I didn't know he existed, but I knew about his other 2 counterparts. So I heard Raikou for the first time, I was like, you mean Raichu? But yeah, it's a shame, because Raikou is pretty dang cool looking, and he's pretty useful in the games as well. I mean, I guess he got to appear in a movie, in the Zoroark film with his other 2 counterparts. That's about it. So yeah, that's Raikou. Like, his name is even super similar to Raichu, so like, it is so sad just how badly they've treated him. Pokemon number 244. Entei. Ooh, Entei. Super cool. Really love this guy. He's real neat. Definitely think it's partially thanks to just the fact that he had that prominent role in the 3rd film. Entei is super cool, tough looking, has that fantastic looking mane that flows, that looks like smoke coming out of a volcano. The man barks and a volcano erupts, just very cool. Though technically Entei is the weakest of the three, because, you know, physical fire type, there's a reason they needed to give that man Ho-Oh's signature move. So, yeah, that's Entei. I've called him, like, cool and tough and all that, like, 5 different times throughout this video, so, like, I don't need a recap, you get it. Pokemon number 245. Suicune. You know, people that say Suicune is their favorite of the 3 are pretty dang basic. I'm pretty dang basic. Suicune's my favorite by far. What can I say? The man's just is this beautiful, majestic creature. The mane, the tail streamer things, just fantastic all around. I mean, come on, there's a reason they gave him a film, a game, prominence in the remakes, and a paradox form. Oh, and made him the first legendary you get in the Sword and Shield DLC. So, yeah, that's Suicune. A majestic creature. Absolutely love him so much. Pokemon number 246. Larvitar. Love Larvitar. This is super cute little guy. Absolutely fantastic. Of course, it just really sucks that he's only available in the last area in the game. And even then, he's at such a low level that, oh boy, evolving him is a pain. Of course, he's our pseudo for Gen 2, so do I like him more than Dratini? Ooh, that is a difficult one. So, yeah, that's Larvitar. This adorable little creature is about to go absolutely insane once you finally give it enough experience. Pokemon number 247. Pupitar. Pupitar is interesting. You know, it's a cocoon, like those early game bugs, as it prepares to evolve into the absolute insanity that is its final form. I definitely prefer Dragonair when it comes to pseudo-legendary middle stage, but I do like Pupitar's idea. And thank goodness that Game Freak at least didn't pull oh, it's a cocoon, so it's going to be weaker than Larvitar until you finally evolve it. So, yeah, that's Pupitar. We're almost there. Just hold on. This thing is about to burst into something insane. Pokemon number 248. Tyranitar. Oh, I love Tyranitar. He is super cool and strong, both in appearance and actual gameplay. And you know, I've even seen him, like, maybe once or twice in the anime, acting all cute-like, so he can pull off both. He is fantastic. Easily prefer him over Dragonite any day of the week. No question, no hesitation. And you know, leveling him up, not nearly as bad in Gen 2 as leveling up Dragonite in Gen 1. Oh man, it's night and day. The experience here now being a held item was a godsend. So, yeah, that's Tyranitar. This guy, absolutely fantastic. Pokemon number 249. Lugia. Oh, I love Lugia. He's so cool. Easily prefer him over Ho-Oh. Which is ironic, because I got Heart Gold first as a young lad. I was begging my parents for Soul Silver for so long. Also, yes, let's just quickly get the common question out of the way. Why isn't Lugia a water type? Yeah, I definitely think it should have been a water type myself, personally. And you know, Lugia just has so much interesting history on its whole design. Look up the Digino Gaming video on it, it's great. So yeah, that's Lugia. You know, it really shows the power of his design, the fact that I didn't have his version first, so I'm not as nostalgic for him as I am for Ho-Oh, but still, Lugia all day. Pokemon number 250. Ho-Oh. So the Lugia video would definitely make it look like I don't like Ho-Oh. No, I like him. Ho-Oh's neat. You know, he looks very majestic, the whole Phoenix, rainbow-esque design, aesthetic, and all that with him. Of course, unlike Lugia, he has a 4 times weakness. Oof. But no, stay positive. I like Ho-Oh's battle theme. It's fantastic. I mean, Lugia's is great too, but Ho-Oh's is pretty dang neat. Also, you know, not as a pain to get to him as it is to get to Lugia, because with Lugia you need Flash, and Strength, and maybe Rock Smash if I remember or not. So yeah, that's Ho-Oh. Sure, I prefer his counterpart, but no, Ho-Oh's still neat. Pokemon number 251. Celebi. Celebi's a cute little onion fairy. I like his design just fine. And you know, I definitely want to say that Celebi's the reason that more people aren't complaining about all the crazy time-traveling plots that we've been getting lately in Pokemon games, because all the way back in Gen 2, we had the time traveler Celebi. We're used to it by now. Though I will say I definitely prefer Mew. Though, you know, don't hate Celebi, it's still pretty dang good. So, yeah, that's Celebi. The reason we're prepared for all the crazy plots in modern Pokemon games. Celebi prepared us all the way back in Gen 2.